Hi, I am Monica Brandt, one of the world's first true fitness pioneers starting back in 1991. I helped launch the fitness industry while traveling internationally, meeting fans worldwide to share my style of fitness to the bodybuilding community. After a decade of fitness competitions, I earned one of the world's most prestigious titles, the IFBB Fitness Olympia Championships. Moving into the new millennium, I was the first IFBB Fitness Olympia athlete to transition into the new professional figure division and compete for close to another 20 years. After 15 years as an IFBB professional, I tried another organization and won the WBFF World Pro Figure Championships both 2010 and 2013. I am a true athlete and made my way into racing into the Masters USATF sprint events, placing top 3 at the World's Masters track meet in all 3 events, the 100, 200, and 400 meter races. Besides athletics, I have been honored with over 100 magazine covers both nationally and internationally. Since it's always a blessing to share with others, over the last 15 years, I've hosted women's fitness events and worked with clients, helping them discover how to live radiantly in all areas of life, body, mind, soul, and spirit. The Monica Brandt Show is one of the ways I am honoring the legendary athletes, powerhouse individuals, and nutrition gurus that have laid a strong foundation in the past, help keep the current industry flowing, and offer inspiration to the next generations. So excited to be here tonight, Tuesday night, Monica Brandt Show, and it is a very cold day today. It was like 30 degrees out. It's nuts, but I am toasty in my home here, little office area, and I'm in a tank top, so I guess inside, thankfully, we've got some nice warm heater going on. But I'm so excited about tonight. We had a different guest who ended up having some complication with the schedule. And I'm so excited because tonight we get to honor one of my co-hosts, but yet dear, wonderful friend and beautiful IFBB figure competitor. She should have probably been a fitness too, because she's got all kinds of mad athletic skills. So I'm really excited about bringing on my past co-host and past guest star, who is coming back tonight to talk about her current win at an IFBB figure show just recently. And her husband's on with her, so I can't wait to bring her on and let's talk about the big win she just had, Olympia bound, and all the good stuff. So Kona, let's roll her video. Miss Wendy Fortino, Mrs. Wendy Fortino. Hello. Hi, Wendy.
Hey.
I am doing fantastic. I have to say, we've got one of our clients here from the barn with my husband's client from the Jewett Performance Horses. And she lives in Oklahoma, and she was supposed to be driving back today. And the weather got so bad here and in Oklahoma that we invited her to come stay here tonight. And she brought this amazing soup recipe that has infiltrated our whole house with a delicious smell. So it's like,
you're making me jealous. I want
I know. I said, look, I'm going to be able to eat when I get done with the show. So, okay, we're done now. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, you have no idea. I'm going to eat something really good after the show too.
Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm so excited to have you guys on. Thank you for making the time to come on and join us tonight here on the Monica Brandt Show. Just real quick, I wanted to just give a shout out to our commenting fans and friends over here. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you, ladies, for joining tonight. I know there's always so many things you can be doing on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Central, but I'm thankful that you're here. And we have a really fun opportunity tonight because normally I offer the free sponsored giveaways. People have to do some homework, right? But tonight we're going to do the giveaways just because people showed up and commented. So let's see. We've got our two sponsored giveaways, Legendary Foods and Aloe Life International. We are giving away the very first, and I'm saying this because I see we've got people commenting. The only thing is we do have to have you as a USA resident. So apologize for that, but with everything going on in the boundaries of the countries, we can't ship out. But we've got Legendary Foods, our first male commenting viewer. Let's see, is this going to be Mike Fulper? It looks like maybe Mike's our first. Oh, no, sorry, Louise. Am I saying his name? Louis Carlos. But is he in Indiana? I don't know that, Kona, I don't know if he is in the USA is the only thing I will say. We have to have you guys in the USA. So, Louis, if you are in the USA, please let us know. If not, we will have to go to our next, maybe it's Mike. I don't know, Kona, you'll have to let us know. And thank you, Mike, for your sweet comment. And then our female Aloe Life International winner is going to be our first one. Kona, go back up. Who is it? Dorothy. Yay, Dorothy.
Yay.
Hi, Dorothy Zimmers. So you guys are our winners tonight for the free sponsored giveaways. If you are USA residents, would you please email me at info@monicabrandt.com. I need your shipping address so that I can get you your goodies out. Let's go over to you, winner.
Really fast, we just tried the Legendary Foods new Hot Fudge Sundae Pop-Tarts.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, they're so good. I don't know if that's part of the gift, but if that's what you're giving away, then they're in for a treat.
Well, anytime we have a giveaway, our sponsors just ship out whatever they want to ship out. And I can only imagine that they want to get the new stuff out. And I know that they're supposed to be sending me some of the new stuff to try. So I'm looking forward to trying that too. But I love the other ones as well, the strawberry and the cinnamon. Yeah. But, and of course, I'm a huge fan of their nut butters as well. Yeah. Have you tried their nut butter? Yeah.
Oh, those are good. Everything's good. I know.
Yes. Super, super good. Well, that's fun to hear. And we'll have to get some of that out. So, okay. So it's Dorothy. And then Louis, if you are a USA resident, let us know. If not, Mike Fulper, I need y'all's information so I can send you your freebie giveaways. So, all right. So let's talk about you, Wendy. You just won a massive show. You're Olympia qualified. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. This is okay. I've been a pro since 2011, and this is going to be my 5th Olympia. However, this is the first time that I have ever qualified so early on. I mean, in the 5 times that I've qualified for the Olympia, 3 of them have been on points, which means I was competing all season long, fighting for a spot at the Olympia, and I ended up collecting enough points to go. One time I won, but it was in the middle of the season, and I still had competed several times before I won the show. So this is the first time I have been able to qualify. This is the first chance qualifier for 2021. So I'm qualified not for 2020, but for 2021. And it's insane. I am so excited that we could now focus on our business and just our clients. And I'm done. I'm qualified. Woo!
Takes a lot of pressure. Sure.
take us a lot of pressure off, right? You can just kind of, like you said, focus. So this is so fun. And Matt, I'm sorry if I didn't introduce you as well.
That's okay.
Matt Allen, Wendy's husband and coach.
Hey, she's the one who just won a show.
No, it's about.
I know, but it is it's a team effort all day long, right? I mean, there's no way a competitor can be Olympia qualified, Olympia status, and not have a really big team behind them. There's no way to do this alone. I mean, the support, the endless days and nights of training, but then you're husband and coach. So I'm really intrigued with this aspect because I know how hard that can be, but you guys seem to have it down and seem to have a good package here that, you know, obviously works for you guys. So I want to kind of dive into that a little bit and talk about that. First of all, maybe Wendy, I know you kind of were talking a little bit about the point system, but because when I was competing, we didn't have points. It was just like, you know, you did the show, you win and whatever. But now there's so many new things going on after all the years. So could you please kind of go backwards a little bit and talk about what that looks like as an athlete, the points and this point system, so people can kind of get an idea of what that means?
Well, I consider myself to be a multi-generational competitor because when I first turned pro, I was actually right on the right on the outskirts of the previous generation's way of doing things, which was top 3 at any pro show qualify for the Olympia. And then if the 4th place, if someone within the top 3 had already qualified, you could potentially qualify for the Olympia even if you took 4th. But there weren't as many pro shows, and there weren't as many pros. So the year before I turned pro, that's how it was. Starting in 2011, the very year that I turned pro, they changed it and they made it the number 1 on every pro show. So they tacked onto that the number 1 in every pro show plus 2nd place, 3rd place, 4th place, and 5th place all would earn points. And then they would take the top 5 based on points. So you'd have the champion of every pro show and then the top 5 on points. So for me, by the time I got to, I think it was like 2014, I finally started placing and earning points towards the Olympia. And I got like a couple 2nd places, 3rd place, 4th place, and I had collected enough points. And I think the first year that I qualified for the Olympia, which was 2014, I had barely earned enough points, and I was like number 5 on the list based off of my points that I had earned. And I just barely like scooched into the Olympia list, right? Mm-hmm. And then 2015, I went on points. I think I was like number 1 point earner that year. And then 2016, I actually didn't qualify. 2017, I ended up winning the St. Louis Pro, so I went on a win. And then they changed it because they started adding more pro shows. And once they did that, they made it the top 3 instead of the top 5 based on points. So they kind of kept modifying it a little bit. And then they changed it to where some points would earn more, or some shows would earn more points than others. Like if it was a big show, like the Tampa Pro or the Chicago Pro, they would give more points to the placings. You know, it was just like this whole thing. They keep on trying to make it so that they don't end up having like 50 people on the Olympia stage. You know, they have to find a way to kind of hold it down. And I mean, like, you know, especially as the divisions they started adding more divisions to the Olympia tickets. For example, bikini, there are so many bikini pro shows all over the place that when they went off of the first place of every pro show for bikini, they ended up having like 50 girls on the Olympia stage. So in bikini. So they actually, bikini is points only. So they actually don't even have the champion of every pro show in the bikini division. You have to earn points. So these girls are like just competing like crazy to every one of them. Even if they win a show, they have to keep competing. So, you know, it's kind of crazy, but lucky for me, they don't actually have quite as many figure pro shows as they have of bikini. And it is still the number 1 of every pro show punches a ticket. And so I'm excited about that.
That's awesome. Well, it sounds a little bit like what they do at the horse shows now that, my husband and I are, well, he's had a horse business, a whole show horses, but they qualify for their world championships by points as well. And they, have high points. And so some of the smaller shows have less points. Well, not the show so much, but it depends on the class. Like if there's a large class, they have more points. If it's a small class, no matter what show it is, as long as it's a registered quarter horse show, then they have smaller points that you can earn. So how do you feel about that? Do you like the point system? Do you think that's a fair? I mean, I know fair is fair. Everyone's got a different view of fair, but do you like that? Do you feel like that's a good way to keep it? Well, I guess the point is, do you feel like that's a good way to keep it very prestigious as far as who's on stage at the Olympia?
I do actually. I was actually happy, even though it was harder to qualify for the Olympia. My first year turning pro, it was harder knowing that I had to win a show and I couldn't place top 3 or top 4, which would have made it a lot easier to qualify for the Olympia. Mm-hmm. I wanted to stay prestigious. It is like I want to feel like this is something that is so hard to do, and if it was harder for me to achieve the goal, I would embrace that, because I think that it just really maintains the integrity and the prestige of what it is that you're trying to shoot for. I'm not chasing a placing. I want to chase a prestige. I want to chase, this is something that is, I want to obtain, not try to find some loophole or some easy way to get from point A to point B. I really like when something is hard for me to do,
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, and I think that's been in my recollection of 15 years of IFBB. And of course, I haven't been on stage at the IFBB level or organization in 10 years. I can't believe that. But I think that's really what I remember feeling too, as they started going through, bring in fitness in, because back then it was just fitness, and then figure came in, and, you really wanted it to stay as prestigious as possible and not just have a gazillion people becoming pros just because, they, can. And you really you wanted to say, when you're an IFBB pro, like it's not easy accomplishment, and yet it is an accomplishment. There's so many other organizations that I have heard, these girls, they go to their first show and they become a pro, and I'm like, in your but they're, and then it's gotten a little bit watered down with so many different organizations. But I think the IFBB's kept a good standard, and they are working hard to keep that legit for people and make it sound like it really is the pro thing. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I remember back in the day, they would do, not just first place would get their pro card. Sometimes they would even do not just first place would get the Olympia invite. So they would even do drop down Olympia invites. So then you'd get towards the end of the season and you'd have people getting third place and still going to the Olympia. So now the win automatically gets you there, and then taking the 3 points earners really does keep it a really prestigious thing to make it to the Olympia.
I do think that they should keep it. If you win a pro show, I do think those people, should have the opportunity to go to the Olympia. I think that's kind of.
Yeah, that's how it is in figure, right?
Yeah.
Maybe bikini, because you've got so many competitors.
Well, the thing with bikini is that there's so many promoters now on so many shows that they'll add on they want to add on a pro division to their show to help drum up more participation and bring really good judges in. So a lot of them, they usually will add pro bikini or pro men's physique. So there ends up being a lot more pro bikini contests. Sometimes I think on the sheet of contests, there's there's 40 bikini pro shows or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it just gets really difficult, because when you get to that, when you get to the Olympia and you have 45 plus bikini pros, and they're all so good, it's hard to even judge that.
I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to judge that. I'd want to be a judge.
I know.
Oh,
So,
wow.
it's hard, there's a lot more people doing the sport now. So it is definitely, I don't envy the people who are in charge of making the rules. That's for sure. I don't.
No. Well, why don't we take a step back a little bit and let's talk about you two, because I want to just, celebrate your win, but I also want to celebrate your marriage because that's a big part of you and your win, right? Is having that support and having that coach and having all those pieces that come with it. So just share a little bit about how you got in again to competing, and where did you guys start off with your relationship, and how did it become where Matt's your coach, and has he been your coach all along?
Well, I gave my perspective, so I want Matt to give from his perspective.
Okay, cool. So let's see. This was back in 2008, and there was a social media network called MySpace.
Oh,
what? Yep.
God.
I remember.
And I got a message from a girl named Wendy that said, "I'd like to drink with someone as cute as you." And I was like, wow. And I looked at her profile, a little track star. And it turns out she was in the city right next to me, and we chatted back and forth. And then
I hit on him.
Yeah, but here's the deal. So we made a plan to meet up, but the problem was that my profile, this is when you could make your profile like look super, super professional. You could put a music. It looked like a professional website.
Right.
And
he was a professional model. He was on the cover of all these magazines.
Well, I had put like my cover up and all my bodybuilding pictures and all my modeling pictures. But male bodybuilders, they don't we get, well, at least for me, I got pretty fluffy in the off season, so I didn't look anything like I looked on MySpace, and I'm like, oh, this is before catfish, right? So I kind of felt like maybe I was a catfish of myself. So I was a little bit nervous to meet her, but we met up in person and in front of Borders
bookstore. You look the same.
Well,
you was a little shorter than I thought you were.
Yeah.
He was a lot shorter than I thought he was going to be.
So we met in front of Borders bookstore. Now, of course, we told all of our friends and family that we met at Borders.
That we met at Borders
because it was because this was a long time ago, and it wasn't normal to meet online, right?
Right.
And then we went out for sushi and coffee afterward, and we pretty much hung out every single day for 12 years ever since then.
Aww.
He's not sick of me yet.
Nope.
So I take it you guys still like each other.
Yeah.
He's all right.
My dad always asks my husband that, do you still like my daughter?
You know what? That's actually a good question, because people can like have love for each other, but they could like not like each other. Like a friend, like somebody that you would really enjoy hanging out with. Like, is this somebody that you'd want to kick it with and just, shoot the shit with? And I think that is important. We love hanging out with each other. He's like my best friend. So I think that's really important.
That's cute. So he didn't maybe look as lean, I assume, or tan maybe as his pictures portrayed on MySpace. Is that what Matt was trying to say just there?
Okay. I was a track athlete, and so I was used to being around like track guys. And so to me, he looked incredible. I mean, I just remember being at dinner and he was like saying things that I did not understand. Like he told me that had a good V-taper. I had zero idea what the heck that meant. I was like, what in the heck is a V-taper? I don't even know what that means. I remember he was like going like this. We were talking and he was like going like this while we were eating. And I just remember his like shoulders were just like popping, and I was just
he knew what would be attractive to you.
Yeah, I was like, what is that? I've never seen that before. It's just like popping out like this, and I'm like, what is that? It was kind of I like it.
Matt, you knew as a model that if you sat a certain way I will show her. That is so cute. So, Matt, when you saw Wendy in person, were you like, okay, were you analyzing as a coach what you could do to, bring her into the competitive side and all the things you could do for her physique, or what would be her strengths and weaknesses? Were you looking at her as a coach would, or like, oh my gosh, this might be my future wife?
Probably a little bit of both, to be honest. She had a tremendous. She actually didn't really fit the mold of a track star because, first of all, because she's only 5 feet tall, but she really had a solid foundation of muscle, even without weight training, just from running track. Right. And so
I was in the wrong sport.
And I used, I tried to be supportive with the track stuff. I would go out on the track. I didn't know how to coach track, but she just said, "Hey, hold this stopwatch and just time me." So, I guess that was it.
Oh my God. One time I had him run some sprints. Everyone thinks he's gonna be like badass, so he's like ready to showboat because everyone's like looking at him. He's got all these muscles, and he was getting ready for a show. So he had all these muscles, and his shirt off.
Worst time to have him run.
And he goes,
I have my Under Armour tights on.
He looks all badass, and I'm like, okay, ready, go. And he takes off, and his shoe flies off of his foot, and it goes flying.
I ran so fast, I ran out of my shoe.
Ran out of your shoes.
And then because my feet were unsteady, I pulled my hamstring. I got about.
I was just gonna say that's the worst time ever.
I'm
cracking up.
Shoe flies out and he pulls his hamstring.
Wendy, it's terrible. Okay.
I know.
That is a horrible thing that happened. And I'm sure Matt was like not laughing at the time.
I didn't need that hamstring.
We both thought it was funny.
Okay. Well, that's the first thought that I go to is like, you never have a non-track person do a sprint because they're going to pull something. And that was my first thought, especially hamstrings. I'm so sorry to hear that. But you know what? My husband, when we got married, I was racing in track. And so he would come to the track and video some of my drills and stuff that I was working on and my starts and all that. And he would time me, but he would never run. And I never asked him to sprint with. He just didn't want to have to pull a hamstring. His legs are too valuable for his horse training. Like he wouldn't be able to ride a horse if he pulled a hamstring. So anyways, we have something in common here because I did ask him to come to the track. And the funny thing is I think my husband can coach just about anything that he decides to coach. So he actually was paying attention to what I was supposed to be doing, how it was supposed to look, some of the drills that helped me get my start stronger. And he would then actually kind of step in and be like, hey, I think you did this right or this wrong. Or, he has a really good eye for coaching. So he was a huge support for me. What?
Well, if he works with horse racing, that's kind of cool.
It's no horse racing. It's all show horses. So very controlled, a whole different thing. A whole nother story. But no, all controlled quarter horse showing, not racing. But anyways, but no, he just paid attention. But it's just kind of cute that we both had our men out there like, hey, come help me at the track. And, you're out there for 2 hours or whatever the case. My warm-ups were always like 30, 40 minutes and 45 minutes. And then you'd have your workout. So he'd sit around and help me out. But that's fun. That's a great start. And you know what? You were not in the wrong sport. You know how much I love and adore track. And that helped you become who you are now, right? And helped you learn how to work hard. So there's something to be said about sprinting. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I loved track. I mean, it was my life, Mm-hmm. And I don't necessarily think I was in the wrong sport. I mean, I just, I think that I was, my body was just not cooperating with me at the level that I was competing at. I mean, by the time I got to the level I was at, I was always getting injured. I was getting stress fractures. I mean, that's what actually got me into bodybuilding is because I was training in 2008 for the Olympic trials and he was preparing for a bodybuilding show journey. And I got a stress fracture in my foot, which was just another, and so I was just so bummed out. And he just said, you know what? 6 weeks later was the show he was doing. And he said, let me just get you ready for this show and do figure. And, see how you do. And
well, and then she wanted to tack on fitness too. So she actually ended up actually
after my
it wasn't good enough to just do figure. She wanted to do figure and fitness.
Well, it's because she was taken after me, for real.
Yeah. No, I did. I wanted to be just like you. I did.
I would be like me when you grew up. Well, you've grown up and you're just like me, if not better. So that's awesome.
I don't know about that.
Well, so Matt, looking at Wendy's physique, like I mean, obviously I haven't seen her on stage because I haven't had the chance to be, but every time I see your posing, your video work, your pictures, like, to me, your physique looks spot on. Like, I don't see any improvement that you can do. I don't see anything that I would say, well, I would, work on that or this, but I just think you look stunning, symmetrical, perfect. Like, I don't see anything that I would change. So Matt, as a coach, do you feel there's things that she can still work on that would help her for 2021 Olympia? She's got obviously a year or over a year, depending on when they run it next year. But do you see anything that you're going to try to work on over the year? Or are you going to just maintain, or like, what are your thoughts for 2021?
Well, actually, let's start with what Wendy will look like when she started. Because when she started training, she from all the track background, her lower body was good to go. She didn't need to build a new lower body. But, when you sprint, it's not just about your legs, obviously. It's about, powerful trunk rotation, your arm movements. So, from pulling her arm up and back and sprinting, she had really overdeveloped traps relative to her delt, and really, really overbuilt obliques. So we've spent over a decade trying to atrophy her obliques and atrophy her traps and bring up her delts relative. And I mean, it's been like a 10-year process. So her shape is dramatically different. And I would say finally this year, she's really gotten her shoulders the right amount of development. And she's also developed enough mind muscle connection to be able to really pose them in a way that kind of gives them more of a round cap. And I would say, moving into this next show, she's almost has it perfect, but you're never perfect. Perfect is a moving target. So just continue to refine everything, continue to work on the glute ham tie-in. That's one of those, it's almost like you can never have too good of a V taper or too good of a glute ham tie-in, right? So just
I want to get mine like yours.
Well, I have to tell you, how mine came in the best is when I was doing track. Yeah. And I was like competitively and being competitive in the meets. And that's because when I competed in, let's say 2013, not 2016, which I felt like they were good, but 2013, 2010, I was doing track, but 2013, I felt the best they had ever looked.
So how are you? You're
what? I'm 5'4".
Yeah.
That was all track. Because Wendy, I was getting ready for the World's Masters track meet and I threw the show in.
I was going to tell you that 4 inches helps a lot because I'm only 5 feet tall. So the distance from my rib to my hip is like minuscule. So any amount of development in my obliques will just throw off my shape. So I, unfortunately, even if track would make my glutes better, I have to, weigh out the pros.
Wait, let me throw this out there because it's not necessarily the sprinting. It's the drills for sprinting. And there's some very specific drills that I know when I do, my glutes stay really correct and really firm. And when we get off camera, maybe you and I can visit about that because I think, these would not be you sprinting. These would be a drill that is completely the glute activation that provides you that power to push through the track every step and drive faster and get out of that start position. So you and I need to just kind of visit about that, and I can share some of those thoughts with you that maybe you can incorporate, and they would be more of something you would do as like a dynamic movement not, and like either before you weight train or on different days, you guys could talk about it, but I would love to share those thoughts with you. And because I know for me, those are some of the things that really did that extra little fine tune for me that I wasn't doing prior to that year because I wasn't competing in track like that. So, we'll share. Well, those are good little secrets that I will share with you later, and when we're off, and then you and Matt can, y'all can talk about it. But again, it won't be a sprint.
Yeah,
it will be a drill that would strengthen the glute tie-in and really hone in on that glute hamstring and develop that very, very well. So,
well, the thing is too, is that it's like, it's not like I can like look at my physique and, pick it apart and see what I need to improve and stuff like that. But for better or for worse, and I consider it to be for better, is that the girls in this division continue to become so good that it's like you're looking at a target that is like so high. And I mean, Sid Gillen is the current Miss Figure Olympia. And to me, I mean, her level of the quality of her physique, the roundness of her muscle bellies, the way that her shape flows, I'm looking at that and I mean, I'm like thinking that's so far. I mean, not necessarily like so far from where I'm at, but I'm like thinking, okay, I definitely have something to shoot for that I'm not currently at, right? I mean, it's definitely a level up from where my physique is at, that I have something to shoot for. And, there is, if you look at the Olympia, the top 5 in the Olympia, I mean, there is this roundness and this quality, and everyone's stepping up their game. And it is, it's definitely, that helps too, to kind of put perspective on what level that you're moving towards,
For sure. Well, either way, you are a beautiful example of professional figure, current and, past. And when I see you, I'm inspired by your physique, and it makes me think, it'd be fun to get back on stage. So, but I certainly wouldn't want to ever get back on stage without having Matt probably train me, because I just, that would just not probably be a good fit for me. But this isn't about me getting back on stage. It's just telling you that you inspire me, that if I had that interest, you would be a big reason for that inspiration and seeing what you guys do together. So let's look at, okay, I want to make sure we stay on time tonight, and I know I can kind of just go off down rabbit hole trails here. Kona, I'd like to see Wendy's routine video, since we have some video. You know what, actually, first of all, before we do this, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do your rapid fire questions. We're going to do rapid fire questions. They're for both of you guys. Yep. And then we'll take a really, really short break, and we'll come back, and I want to see your videos, and let's finish out with that. But you guys ready to answer some fun questions?
Let's do it.
We got some new music too. Okay. So, Matt, favorite memory of your first date?
Favorite memory of our first date was after we went to sushi. We went to Starbucks, and I just remember the way, it sounds like a weird thing, but I just remember the way that she blinked. She would just, the way she moved her head, and she had these big, giant green eyes and long lashes, and she would talk, and she would have these very distinct blinking movements. And
awesome.
I don't know why that still gets me every time.
Oh, so Wendy, if you get in trouble, you can just open your eyes and blink at him, and he'll soften. Okay, Wendy, the favorite memory of your wedding day?
My favorite memory of my wedding day was the one time in our entire lives that I've known him that he actually danced with me. And he never dances with me. He like refuses to. And I got one dance, and I just remember I had my arms around him, and we were doing like slow dance, junior high style with like walk. And I didn't even care, because I was so happy that he let me dance with him. So that hasn't let me dance with him since maybe
We dance sometimes here at home.
at home when no one's around. Yeah,
Okay.
I've made him a couple times. I try to teach him some moves and stuff like that. Like, but no better time than when no one's around, right?
Right. I'm not one to like go to the dance club like Saturday Night Fever and
Saturday Night Fever. Oh, we're just going all out. Okay, so this led into the second question, which was, if you were to dance together, what type of dance would you do? So, and this can be at home. Would it be slow? Would it be trying to two-step or waltz or shake your tail feathers, or what would it be?
Salsa.
Oh my gosh, that's already too hard for me. What was that last one?
Salsa.
Wait, what was that?
Okay.
Trying to teach me the one where the kids are doing like this thing on TikTok.
Oh no, that's like the nay or whatever.
Yeah, I was struggling with the nay.
The nay.
No, you know what I think like I've seen like at Persian weddings where the guys they just do this.
Yeah.
That one.
I got that.
I do
the hands. That's cute.
I make him do salsa dancing.
Okay. You know what? That's fun. You know, that's opposites, right? That's great. Okay. Wendy, what's the best chest exercise for anyone?
The best chest exercise I would say is a cable cross chest flies. Like I go like this and I'll like cross all the way through.
Okay.
And the feeling of like crossing over is just insane. I like to do like maybe a little bit at an incline. That feels really good.
Okay, Matt, best glute exercise.
Best glute exercise, probably squat. I mean, depending on how you do it, squat's definitely the best glute exercise.
I like that, depending on how you do it. That's a whole nother series, right?
Right.
Okay. This is a question for both of you. Wendy, name one thing, PG rated, PG-13, that Matt does that makes you smile every time. And Matt, you'll be next.
He makes me eggs every single morning, but like hours before I'm gonna eat them, and they're always waiting for me in the fridge. My first meal. It's just like they're cold, and I don't care because he like makes me a batch of eggs every morning. It's really cute.
I love it. Okay, Matt, what is one thing Wendy does?
One thing is I also put out all her vitamins and supplements.
That's great.
And every once in a while I forget, and then I'll be like off on a run or something, I'll get a text message. What pills am I supposed to take? And I'm like, oh my God. And I know she knows. I don't know. She just likes to reach out to me if I'm not around. I think
Does she have a pout on her face if she sees that there's no pills out for her?
Vitamins.
Yeah. Exactly.
My vitamins. That's cute. Okay, that's cute. Okay, Wendy, who steals the covers?
Oh my God, he does when he like rolls over and like he'll snore, and so I'll say, can you please turn over? And then I'll hold the sheets really tight, and I'm like, don't take my sheets. Don't take my sheets.
Matt, who makes the bed?
She makes the bed
every morning.
That's awesome.
And
Okay.
for the record, I don't snore.
Okay, for the record, got it.
How do you know? You're snoring in a
Wait.
sleep.
Hey, we're going on. Wendy, what is one thing that Coach Matt coaches you to do that really challenges you?
He pushes me on every level, with my diet, with my training. I'm very self-motivated. I would say with my diet, he is so, he keeps me on point with my diet. Like,
Good.
And I need it.
Well, we've got to have that person that supports us in that place. That's the hardest part, I think. Matt, name one thing Wendy pushes back on that you coach her to do.
One thing that she pushes back on.
Monica. You better be measured. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't
be
know.
Nice.
She doesn't really push back. If anything, it's that I'm not on her case even more. I mean, really, she she's really receptive to
Good.
To everything, and that's why this this works.
Hey, that's great, because you are coach and you are husband, so, and your friend, so it sounds like Wendy's able to what is it called, compartmentalize, like when you're coach and when you're husband and when you're friends. So
well, this is our business too, so it's like what I do reflects on his coaching, and that's our success together. So it's like if I mess up, that's gonna make him look like a bad coach, and it's our business at stake. So the pressure of like me being on point is like, it's like a full circle thing,
Right. Well, this is why I said if I was ever to get back on stage, and I'm not saying that I am, but if I ever was to, you've inspired me, and obviously I know Matt coaches you, so I'd be like, Matt,
we would love you, Monica.
Okay.
Yep. You just let us know.
You're so cute. Okay. Favorite thing to do on date night? Both of you answer. Matt goes first.
Well, you know what? This is going to be the most boring answer, but
it's fine.
But we love the movies, and it's just unfortunate that movies are, you can't really go to movies right now. We like those movie theaters where you post up and they have those big. It's basically like you have a couch that's like a recliner, and you push the button and the waitress comes, and I mean, we don't really drink alcohol, but if you want to, they can bring you like alcoholic beverages. It's like a first class.
That.
Yeah, I really miss being able to. I don't even eat popcorn.
Yeah.
Ever, but I just love the smell of popcorn when you go to the movies, and it's cool to. I mean, we have it's like a 75-inch TV, but it's still not the same as like going out to the movie.
Well, there's something special about that, like especially when it's a date, and you're like, because that's kind of like old school, right? Going on a date, going to see a movie, and it's just kind of makes you think about fun old times. So, would you say the same thing, Wendy, or is there something different?
Mine is gonna sound so cliche, but it's so true. We live on the beach, and we love taking long walks on the beach.
That's true, yeah.
Seriously, it sounds so stupid, but we take long walks on the beach at night. That's probably my favorite, when the sun is set and the lights are out, like, and the pier is lit, and it's just so beautiful. Like my favorite.
Okay, I can totally relate to that, having lived in Redondo Beach and Marina Del Rey, and just loving that. So I so get that, and I don't blame you. That is a very special thing. Wendy, who's a better chef?
I am. I'm an artist, and I cook like that too. I don't have any recipes, but I have a really good intuition on what tastes really good together.
Nice.
So I'm a good cook. What'd you say?
Awesome.
I mean, let me have you say. What do you think?
Wait, his question is, who's a better driver?
Me, definitely. She's the best backseat driver, though.
Ooh, that's good. Okay. Best backseat driver. Okay, here's the last question. Matt, now, what is one thing Wendy does that makes you feel respected?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? The main thing is we both really trust each other. And when I say trust, I don't mean trust each other not to tell a lie. We really, really trust each other's judgment, right? So if I'm doing something stupid, she's really caught me on some posts I almost put on Facebook, right? But like, I didn't even mean it the way it probably would. She proofread it and go, "You're not gonna post this, Matt." and I'm like, "Oh wow, I didn't realize, it could have came across that way, right?" So we do things like that for each other. We really, really have a lot of trust and a lot of respect for each other, and that's why this whole thing works for me to coach her and have a business together and be married, is that ultimately we have just this ultimate level of trust that nobody has an ulterior motive. I'm not going to when she's 3 weeks out, I'm not going to decide, hey, you know what? I think you need a cheat meal, because it's actually the real reason behind it is that I want to go out to eat, right? We really, really trust each other's judgment. We really respect each other. and that's why this whole thing works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I love that. And Wendy, what is one thing that Matt does that makes you feel loved?
Oh my God, there's so many things that he does to make me feel loved. My God, like that's like such an open-ended question.
Just one thing.
He's literally, he has my back on everything. I mean, I guess the trust, it goes back to the trust thing. I know that when I'm not there, I know that, you know, somebody says something or something like even jokingly or whatever, I just know that he's always gonna have my back. And I know that sounds like something that would be obvious, but you probably know there's a lot of people who like their couples, and like when one of them isn't there, the other person will feel like more comfortable to like entertain, you know, negative talk about the person that they love or whatever. That's the thing about us, is that, you know, we have each other's back so hard. And I feel like I just know that he's always going to, you know, and he's always there for me and with me. And I just never question it. It's like it's an open-ended question, because I guess it's the there that's not there, you know. The fact that I know he's never going to not be there for me is what makes me feel so loved.
Oh, I love that. Well, and I asked those specific questions at the end here because in scripture that God says, husbands are your wives, respect your husband, and husbands love your wife. And it doesn't ever say the opposite. It's very specific for husbands and wives in God's scripture, in his word, that we are to respect our men because that's how, you know, what they need. And they're supposed to love us because that's what we need as females, right? Because male and female are so different in so many ways. But, you know, I think earlier you said, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it seems like when you talked about how he made you the breakfast and it's in the fridge and he put your vitamins out, to me, that seems like that makes you feel loved. And, you know, you see that, and I could get that. If my husband does little things like that for me, you know, it makes me feel like he's really thinking about me because, you know, maybe that wasn't something that he would normally do or didn't have to do or whatever. But that's awesome. I love it. So those are just a couple little fun questions. So you guys, we're going to take a really, really short break. We're going to come back and see Wendy's routine video, her the comparison of first and second, and then we're going to see her being awarded her big win this past weekend and her announcement for the Olympia 2021. Right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back. That was a long break, I'll tell you what. All right, if you guys are just tuning in, you are tuning in to the Monica Brandt Show. I'm Monica Brandt, your host, and I have got Matt and Wendy on. Matt Allen, Wendy Fortino. Of course, they are married, and they have a business called Cyber Body Shop.
Cyber Body Shop, all is one word.
Cyber Body Shop.
I love it. Okay, so speaking of that, we've got a gentleman here, Quitman, who I believe is Brandon Curry's cousin. And he's asking for some help, Matt. He says he can't get off chicken wings and bacon. Help me, bro. Quit, man.
Well, quit, man.
Quit, man.
Chicken wings and bacon, man.
I don't know. The bacon's okay, right? I mean, especially if you get the good stuff and
anything
all that. But
in moderation.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt? What can you tell him in a couple?
What was the question?
He says I need help with my diet. I can't get off the chicken wings and bacon.
Okay, yeah, you know what? Anytime you're trying to follow a diet, you know, instead of focusing on the things that you can't have, focus on what you want. So instead of thinking, oh man, I wish I could eat chicken wings and bacon, focus on what you want your physique to look like. So if you don't have an example of yourself from like a previous contest or the last time you were in shape, pick, your favorite bodybuilder and look at that image instead of looking at food porn, right? Which is what people do when they're on a diet. They look at pictures of cakes and cookies when they, and of course that triggers them to give in to temptation. Instead of looking at food porn or bacon or the Food Network, focus on images of things that you want, because when anything you put it into your brain, it manifests in your behavior.
I like that. That's good. That's good information. So Matt, why don't you share with Quitman, if he's serious about getting some help from you, how he can get hold of you?
Yeah, just drop us an email at cyberbodyshop@yahoo.com.
Do the info at cyberbodyshop.
Oh, okay, yeah. info@cyberbodyshop.com.
info@cyberbodyshop.com. There you go, Quitman. If you decide you want to get some help from Matt, Coach Matt, there you go.
And our website is cyberbodyshop.com, and you can contact us through there too.
Okay, that's good information. We've got Judith Mosley says, what's y'all's favorite food that you cool while you are carb depleting? It says cool. Maybe, I'm not sure, Judith, you have another word for that?
Oh, probably cook.
Oh, maybe cook while you're carb depleting. What's y'all's favorite food that you cook while you're carb depleting? Maybe chicken, salmon.
Oh, I know. We like to cook everything we have an air fryer, and it's just been a game changer for us. So we'll make meatballs out of really lean ground turkey. And I don't know, just making it into a meatball, it's really, really tasty. I like to cook my vegetables in the air fryer. Honestly, keep it pretty simple. I mean, I think with some really good seasonings, trying to keep it simple. I think that what can really mess with you is if you're trying to make something taste like something you think you want. Like, you can't ever make egg whites taste like a cinnamon roll. I'm going to make my egg whites taste like a cinnamon roll. And you're just like thinking cinnamon roll. If you're thinking about a cinnamon roll, you're never going to satisfy that craving, and it's still going to be on your mind. So what usually happens is people will fall off of their diet when they're so focused on that. It's like you're processing the negative, right? Like if you say, donut, you're thinking about a donut. People are chasing after this thing they think they're craving. Instead, the way that we approach it is we take the foods that we're eating and we keep it really simple, and we crave for those things and we make them taste really good. And we're not trying to make them taste like something they're not,
What do you guys think about the having more fats? Because, when I was competing in the beginning, it was like maybe peanut butter was in my program, but I also had carbs. So I was doing fitness. But there's so much more now of like really healthy fats you can use. So how do you guys utilize fats, and maybe as simple as you can keep it? I know we're sitting at an hour right now, and I want to make sure we see your videos and all that. So how do you feel about fats?
Yeah, fats are essential. I mean,
yay.
A lot of whole eggs, but we make sure we get the pastured eggs so that the yolks are a lot more nutritious. They have a lot more omega-3s as opposed to omega-6s, and lots of salmon. Fats are really important. Grass-fed beef. If you look at the fat breakdown in grass-fed beef, the omega-3 content is almost as good as salmon. We typically don't think of beef as being high in omega-3s, but that's because it's the beef that people typically get is the factory farm stuff. So fat is really, really important. So even
grass-fed butter.
Yeah.
Kerrygold butter.
On a really, really, really lean diet right before the show, we're always hanging on to a little tiny bit of fat. I mean, someone may be just on all egg whites plus just enough essential fats, because even if you're 2 weeks out from a show, if you don't get just enough essential fats to meet your body's needs, it actually shuts down the enzymes that will burn fat. So it's kind of seems counterintuitive, right? That you would need to eat fat to burn fat, but there's just this essential amount that your body needs. You can cut everything out, but you need that essential fat. There's a saying, I think I heard it from Dave Palumbo. He said, there's no such thing as an essential carb because your body can make carbohydrate. Your body can make carbohydrates out of protein if it needs to. It's not very efficient, but it can. But you need to get those essential fats or a lot of your hormones and enzymes will just shut down.
I love that. I've been so thankful to have fats over the last 10 years and be able to utilize those and the good stuff. Equipment's just asking, what are essential fats in it? What are some essential fats? Maybe just list your top 5, Matt.
The top 5 essential fat sources, I would say pastured whole eggs, salmon, avocado, grass-fed beef, and macadamia nut oil.
Mm-hmm. Yes, macadamia.
If you're noticing that we don't necessarily highlight nut butters is because nut butter is really difficult for people to have a shut-off valve for. I mean, when you can't like just have a scoop of peanut butter or a scoop of almond butter and just call it a day. You will most likely overdo it. So part of choosing the foods that you eat is also, managing your behavior patterns. So your behavior patterns and your adherence are linked. If you are eating something that you can't regulate yourself from, managing, no one has ever like overdone like avocados. You don't ever see someone like binging on avocados, and it's like, I can't get enough of this avocado. Like you can have a third of an avocado, put it on your food and call it a day. But you start scooping out that peanut butter. And I mean, when you're depleted, you're like, you can't stop. You know what I mean?
I know that feeling. I do. There's a little product I love to get here. I don't remember the brand, but it's a pecan. I want to say pecan macadamia nut or pecan almond. I can't remember which one it is. And it's literally, the jar is about this big and it costs about $15.
Oh, wow.
It's organic and it's beautiful. And I can cut myself off on that because number one, it's very satisfying. However, I also know how much it costs. And every scoop, I'm like, this is so expensive. I can't overdo it because then you waste it, right?
It's different when you're not in a deficit. Okay, I mean,
you're right. You're right.
I mean, if you're in a deficit, it's a whole different ballgame. I mean, your body's in a different state, right? I mean, that you are going to be triggered. But if you're in like a steady flow, you're not like in a deficit. You're like in your steady state of your ideal body weight, everything like that, you're not going to necessarily feel like triggered to overdo something like that,
So I'm going to go out on a limb and share a secret with you, Wendy, okay?
Okay.
I've never shared this in public, ever, ever, ever.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
So 98, I won the Olympia, came back 99, right? And I was in a really good place going into the show.
Yeah.
And that night before the Olympia, I was in my hotel room and a little stressed out by some personal things. I had peanut butter there, and I couldn't say no to the peanut butter. So guess what that did to me the next day?
No.
Yeah. I ended up coming in 4th, and they said, oh, she's lucky to come in 4th. But, my routines were pretty on. I looked, I spilled over.
I'm sorry.
And I can totally see it in the pictures and everything. I think back to that was my last fitness Olympia. And I just thought after that, I was like, I was just having some personal things I needed to work through and get around. And some people in my life that maybe weren't as supportive in a positive way for me to continue competing at the time. And, but I was not at my best on that Olympia stage when I was going into and only because of the peanut butter. That's it.
Yeah.
Because going into it, I was ready. It was just enough between lack of sleep because I had people coming in my room late, eating the stupid peanut butter that I shouldn't have had in my room. But, I didn't have an issue with it prior to that. And then of that night, I was like, just like you said, depleted, a little bit stressed, not really. And also probably not having had that experience before, not knowing what that would do to me, right? Not having that knowledge. Like, let's say I went back in 2000, I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm never doing that again, right?
Yeah.
So, I went back to figure, but, it's just like, I didn't have that issue again a later time, but at that moment I hadn't done that ever. And so, that next day, I remember I woke up and I looked really good. But slowly, as the show started progressing and I went on stage, I could totally see that I had all that little bit of water all around my body from that. And then, I had 2 routines to do. So the night show, I came back, looked a little bit better, but it was too late at that point still.
Yeah.
Wasn't on exactly. But man, a couple days later, looked great.
I'm sorry. That's
no, this is just me like acknowledging what you just said, and kind of crazy because I shouldn't say probably, I potentially could have placed first or second. Maybe.
Well, you know what?
Fourth.
From like an elite athlete standpoint, I mean, this is like the extreme version of like, human behavior and regulation of it. But on every level, I think anytime you're trying to achieve a goal with your body, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to, whatever it is that you're trying to shoot for, as much important as it is to choose a diet that is going to get you there, it's probably more important to set yourself up for success by surrounding yourself with the ability to make the right behavior changes necessary, right? If you're trying to regulate the system by, calorie counting and choosing foods that make you feel like you're not, depriving yourself, you might end up getting only a little bit of like a brownie because you don't want to give up your brownie, but then you only have enough of it to where you want like the whole brownie. It's like as much important, or if not more, as having a diet is setting yourself up for success. And if there are foods that you can't control yourself with, it's gonna make it that much harder. It's gonna be that much more willpower if you have it. And sometimes nobody has enough willpower to battle the mind. The mind is so powerful.
Well, and I didn't know that in 99, I was 29. I hadn't really experienced that before, and there it was. But anyways, not to go off on all that, but it was just something you're talking about, and I was like, well, shoot, that happened to me at the Olympia. Yeah, and what Judith just said, I know going through that made you stronger, Monica. You are right, Judith. It did, and it's funny. You can look back and just visualize some things that you've done, and you're like, wow, that's crazy. Some memories are there, and some memories, you're like, what happened on that? It's so weird how we remember certain things, and then certain things we just can't remember. Like, so things are important. Okay, so Kona, I want to go over to Wendy's routine video and see that, and the other videos that Wendy sent over. So let's see that now, if we can bring it in, Kona.
All right, Wendy.
All right, Wendy, you look amazing. I love the green color. It's stunning on you.
Thank you.
Who did your suit?
Celeste Harsa, she always does my suits, and I took a break from wearing green, but there was something about this show, I was like, I need to go back to green. I just wasn't having luck in any other color, and I'm like, I need to go back to my winning color.
It's beautiful on you. And how are you keeping your suit up? Is it glued in place?
Oh my God, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
I have it glued on my body with craft glue.
And on the bottle it says, "Do not touch your skin with this."
Like, are you talking about sticky glue or like Elmer's liquidy glue?
Elmer's craft glue.
Yeah, it's for like making model airplanes and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I had someone send me a little bottle of glue that a surgeon would use to close up a wound if they were operating. Surgical glue.
Oh my gosh.
That works pretty good.
We do. We're just like all in at that point. We don't even care. We're like, I don't care. I just need the suit to stay up. I'll lose my skin over it. I've got this far, like all in right now.
Well, that was beautiful. Kona, do you mind showing it one more time? Because I want to see it one more time.
Aw.
I love the walk. Who taught you how to walk so pretty?
You.
Matt, me. Matt taught you how to walk.
Oh yeah, he's like showing me how to do it.
Well,
right?
It's the first thing people see, right? I used to always, when I coached posing, I'd say, okay, what is the first thing people are going to see? Your pose up in the middle, or you're walking to that pose, right? Your walk to the pose.
And I think it's like making sure that you're really connecting with the judges when you walk out. Rather than think about like performing this walk, you're thinking about, you know, trying to really connect with the judges as you're walking out, and it just kind of happens.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So pretty. Very, very, very classy and polished. Ah, polished, huh? Polished presentation. That's awesome. It's beautiful. Okay, let's see your comparison. Kona, the two comparisons. So how are you feeling right here, Wendy? Are you like, oh my gosh, this is it? Or
I was excited to be in the top two. Ivana, she's a really, really good competitor. She took 6th at last year's Olympia. So she's definitely a top contender. And so it was exciting for me to be battling it out for the top two. At that point, I didn't know if I was going to be first or second. I knew it was close.
I like your pose better, just saying here.
Aw. I knew it was close, and I think we both knew that it was really close.
It was cool the way they did the confirmation round, because sometimes they'll just pull out the top 5 and then put them up there, then the next 5, and the next 5. Instead, they judged this one. They did the confirmation round from the bottom up. So they started with the bottom, went all the way up to, you know, 3rd place as like a big lineup, and then they just brought the final 2 out for the
very cool.
Really, really strong competitor. So it was exciting to me that I was like in that top 2. That was just already exciting for me, you know? And then, I mean.
Well, I have your posing. I've always loved it, but just watching you compared to the other girl posing, I think you accentuate your body in a much better way. And I don't know her, so I'm not trying to say anything negative at all, but especially even your back pose. I love how you bring it up and hold it up. You're not leaning forward. Your arm's not like super out there. And I think that really was flattering. Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Let's go. Calf development is awesome. There's a it's freaking awesome. Thank you, Judith. Look at that. All right. Let's see your final. Kona? Did you know at this point, Wendy, or were you just on the fence?
I don't know why. I've heard my name called at 2nd place.
Number 7, Ivana.
All right, Wendy.
I knew, and I just have heard my name called at 2nd place so much that I was just kind of weirdly anticipating it. And when my name was not called out at 2nd, I thought, oh my God.
Hey, well, no wonder you take after me. I've been 2nd place a lot, girl.
My middle name. 2nd place should be my middle name.
Yep. They always used to say the bride. Always the bridesmaid, never a bride. Thanks a lot. This is beautiful. I love it. And they're giving out the crowns now.
A giant novelty check.
Yeah, check was huge.
The giant check. That's right. Hey, I've got some of my Olympia checks up here still. They're not quite that big, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I'll have to show you
folded it up and put it in my suitcase.
That's fun. That's fun. Well, congratulations, Wendy and Matt. Super fun. I'm so excited for you. And so moving from this show now to 2021 Olympia, questions. Will you compete in a show prior to the Olympia next year? I mean, just like, let's say in a perfect world, if you need to compete, will you compete? Would it be in a perfect world? Would it be 1 time, 2 times, no times?
I'm going to apply for the Arnold, and I'm not sure. Hopefully I get an invite to the Arnold.
Okay.
I really want to do that. And if I don't get an invite, which because I did not qualify for the 2020 Olympia, and usually they choose people who qualify for the previous year Olympia, but maybe I will. Who knows? Okay. If I don't, I'm probably going to try to at least compete in 1 contest right before the Olympia so that I can make sure I dust off the cobwebs. There's always, if you no matter how seasoned you are, like you need to dust the cobwebs off. Like for me, competing back-to-back shows, that made a big difference for me. And I know I need to do one right before the Olympia, make sure I'm not rusty.
Right. No, makes total sense. And then, is there anything specific, Matt, you will have her try to work on over the year that you haven't maybe talked about, or is it just kind of maintaining her physique that she has right now? I guess you talked about tie-ins, but anything else?
You can always continue to build. She can continue to build her shoulders, her lats a little bit. Well, the feedback we always get is back depth, which just means more development, more detail in the upper back. So just continuing to. Luckily, though, we don't need to fix her shape. There's not an issue of how it took years to bring her obliques down, right? And so it's really there. It's just a matter of getting everything to pop a little bit more.
Okay, that's great. I love it. And then one last question, maybe because I know some people would probably love to hear this. Is there a weight or body percent that you would like to maintain over the year, barred from competitions, that you would say, I'd like to kind of stay around this particular body fat, just to stay in a good place mentally and physically before the shows? Is there that?
I think I always pretty much stay at least 15% body fat.
You know what? Honestly, we don't even check. We just
check.
Or even we start checking her weight as she's dieting down for the show, because we need a little frame of reference. But her weight's really different. I mean, sometimes it stays literally the exact same weight all the way until 3 weeks out, even though she's getting leaner. It's almost like her body's just kind of changing body composition without actually losing weight. She really loses weight a couple weeks before the show. So, and
my weight is pretty much, it's pretty much always the same. It never really changes until I'm 2 weeks out from a contest.
Yeah. And then in terms of her body fat, I actually don't do much body fat with most of my clients, just because when you go to the contest, the judges don't ask you what's your body fat percentage.
Well, and different body fats look different on different people.
Yeah, they don't ask you how much do you bench. They don't ask how many hours of cardio did you. They say how do you look. They just look. They don't ask you. They just look at you.
Right.
And some people can carry a little bit of body fat and look great, and then other people have pockets in certain areas, and they have to be totally shredded to even get the look.
So if we
right.
gave someone a body fat percentage goal, it could be maybe not the right goal for them.
And even the ones that are supposedly the most accurate, they're really not. I mean, we could do a whole episode on funny stories about people and their body fat tests.
Right.
It really is a recipe for disaster when people get so mentally hung up on what their body fat is, either feeling defeated that when they look great and all of a sudden they get a body fat test that they weren't expecting and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to lose.
Or feeling defeated when they are feeling like their weight's not going down, but their body's totally changing. And we see their body changing and their weight isn't changing, and they are so stuck on that number that mentally.
I would say I base it about 90% on what they look like and 10% on the weight. And I use the weight as a way to reconcile what I'm to benchmark what I'm seeing against. Not so for instance, if somebody looks, all of a sudden they look kind of smooth and they look worse, but they're down 5 pounds. Well, that's okay. Wow, you're flat. You know what I mean? That's a red flag that they're flat. If they look worse with their weight's way down, that kind of.
We don't want to celebrate the weight loss.
Right. So that kind of thing, or someone's looking smooth and sure enough, they're up 3 pounds. Well, that lets you know they spilled over.
Right.
But ultimately, there's the only time there's ever a weight goal is if I have an amateur bodybuilder who has to actually make weight for the contest. But other than that, there's never a weight goal. It's really look.
That's good. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Wendy, about how people, how they feel about certain things and how they relate to certain things. And for me, I know that when I was competing, I'm very much like you. My weight would stay really, really the same. And I would go in once a week because that's how I started off doing my show preps back in the early 90s. Is I had a nutritionist who do my body fat, and it was just routine, same person doing it all the time. I'd see it come down, and I started loving that, just the little increments down, not the weight, but the body fat. And so over all of my competitive years, almost 30 years, that's part of for me, it was part of my my fun motivation. Like I wasn't ever stuck on a number, but I knew for me, seeing that little number come down, not the weight, because the weight always stayed about the same, but seeing that fun little body fat number came down, that would inspire me. So it goes back to, what, like you just said earlier, like, how does someone see that? And you have to know your client so well. And, but that for me was always like, it was fun to say, oh my gosh, I'm down to 8%. Well, and, Matt, one time I went into UT Austin, University of Austin, and I went in and it was before the Arnold, and I wanted to go get my body fat tested back then they had the only DEXA scanner in the city. It was back in 2007 or something like that. And so I went in and they did 4 different body fat tests on me, the same, like all within 15 minutes. So they did the DEXA scan, they did calipers, and then there were 2 different scanners, like one handheld one and one you stood on, the Tanisha, and then one I know you've seen them all. And it was so funny. We did all 4 of them just for fun and kicks and grins because he had all of them there. And the guy that was doing my body fat knew who I was. And so he was interested to see what all the different scanners would get me at since I was coming in. DEXA got me at 8%. The skin calipers were 10%. He did them for me. And then each of those 2, the handheld was maybe like 18 or 19%. And then the standing Tanisha one was like 21%.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was just such a wide range, but it was just kind of interesting for the experience of it to go, wow, like, okay, those are all so different,
Well, the night spot skin fold, if it's done well, is usually the most accurate. If it's not hydrostatic weighing, it's usually the skin fold if it's done really well. And, but yeah, it sounds like if he knew what he was doing, that was probably the most accurate one.
Yeah. And, I think for anyone, if I was to tell anyone, we'll do it along the way, it would have to be the same method every time, the same time of day. Did you eat? Did you fast? Don't fast. Don't work out first, or, whatever it is, like do it the same every time. So you have something to compare that's exact same person measuring, the same scanner, the same, type. And then you can see some progress if that was something that you wanted. But obviously you guys, and you're together and you can see each other like every day.
You testing it on yourself, it's like you're a very self-motivated person and you are driven by certain things, right? So for you, and I always say success requires no explanation. So if for you to have success, you focusing on like your body fat percentage and driving towards that was your own personal way of staying on track. Like from a coach's standpoint, it's like to help someone be successful, if we focus on that one thing, and that's not coming from the person, someone like you who's like so self-driven and motivated, who like, this is what they need and they've communicated with us, this is what keeps me going. I mean, it's like, I guess for us, it's like from a coach's perspective, when we're trying to, figure out how to keep somebody like mentally focused on the right things, it is more challenging when somebody comes to us and they don't really have a lot of experience, and we have them fixate on this like number and it stresses them out and they focus on the right things. You're like at a whole nother level. You're like, Olympian competitor, and this is like keeping you in the game, in the hunt, and success requires no explanation. So
I love that. Success requires no explanation. That's good, Wendy. That's good. That's good.
And failure accepts no alibi.
Hey, I just looked up the other day. I was messaging somebody and I said, did you ever hear about KFC and how many times they failed? Colonel, what is his name? The guy that, Colonel. Fried chicken guy. It says he failed over 1,000 times before he got it right, and he was over 65. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's
speaking of failure. Over 1,000 times. Like, I don't know, maybe after 100 times of trying to make the right fried chicken, I might give up. But it was pretty. Anyways, 1,000 times. So, okay, I am so excited for you, Wendy and Matt. I know this is a team effort for you guys, and I'm so thankful to have you come on the show tonight and share all the goodness. We're going to be excited for 2021 for you, Wendy, and I'll be watching you along the way. And I can't wait to have you come back. So speaking of having you back on as a co-host, would you be on with me for Mrs. Nicole Wilkins?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so right now, just for those of you listening, thank you for being so patient on the show. We have, I know, gone way over our hour, but it's been fun just to hear all the goodness here. So next week is election, so I'm just going to ask everyone to go out and vote and do the right thing for our country. And next week, I am not having a show because it all falls on the same day, November 3rd. And post the following week is when Nicole's supposed to be on. Now, assuming that she doesn't have her baby that day, she's supposed to be on with us here for the show. So that's in 2 weeks, Wendy.
Awesome. I'm excited. And
Right.
me and Monica will both go in and answer everyone's questions and stuff like that. And we got caught up talking, but I'll go in there and say hi to everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys. Anything else you want to share, Matt? Is there anything you want to share? Or maybe just one more time, tell people how they can find you, where you can find you guys on social media.
Yeah, our website is cyberbodyshop.com. And if you want to connect with me, my Instagram is Coach Matt Allen, and Wendy's Instagram is Wendy Fortino. All is one word. And of course, our Cyber Body Shop has its own Instagram, Cyber Body Shop. Actually, probably the best way is to just find us on Instagram, and then we have links to all of our different websites and products on there. So just Coach Matt Allen, Cyber Body Shop, or Wendy Fortino on Instagram.
Awesome. I think we should probably have Matt back on sometime and just pick his brain about nutrition and training and coaching and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to fit it all in an hour. It's really hard to fit in like fun conversation, you know, kind of what's out, and also go into like nutrition and you know, kind of hitting some of those big questions that I know people want to know about. So let's look at 2021 to bring you guys back on, and Matt, we can kind of dive in a little bit more with nutrition and let people kind of ask you some good hard questions.
Great. Love it.
We love it.
Awesome. Oh, very good. Well, love you guys so much. Thank you guys for joining, tuning in. Thank you to my sponsors. Just so you guys know, the MonicaBranchShow.com is the official website for the Monica Branch Show. And we do have applications there for sponsorship, as well as there's a donate button. So if you love the show and you feel like donating, even $1 always goes a long way. So got all of the past shows. I'm not sure how many I've been doing now since April 20th somewhere. I think I'm close to 30 shows now, somewhere in the 20s. So there's a lot of past episodes there you can go tune in, see all of the fitness bodybuilding legends and powerhouse superstars that have helped create this industry that we know and love. Wendy, you are a beautiful, beautiful gal, and I'm so thankful to know you and have you on the show as co-host. Matt, thank you so much again, and you guys have a beautiful, blessed evening. Stay fit, love life, and go vote.